Hey, what's up guys, it's Nick2. A couple days ago I saw this video. I'm just going to let it play. I'll put a link to this in the description as well. But you can see this is an Arbiter in 4-player scaling, so the boss has like 12 times the HP or something. And there he goes. And this was a few days ago. So the guy hit him for about 140 million. You can watch this video, just copy paste exactly how this guy has it set up. But this is very niche and very specific to killing bosses. And nobody, unless you're selling carries, is trying to do 140 million damage in one hit. I looked at what this guy had, wanted to set it up a little bit myself without a ton of investment and still being able to retain the Spark build. So I spent about an hour doing so, and on screen is the result. Obviously, I'm not doing nearly as much damage as this guy. That's because I did not fully swap into this. I didn't want to go super crazy with it, but I kind of just wanted to explain what actually is happening here, how you yourself can set this up. Keep in mind, this is very niche. The use case for this is not crazy, but if you are playing Spark, you're a little bit later into the end game, you want something fun to do, and maybe you want to just cheese some boss kills, this is how you can do it. So the majority of the damage is actually not from Spark anymore. If you can play the Spark build, I didn't really change much at all. I do want to say there are a couple things that I changed, obviously, but I didn't go out of my way and get like 5 links and spend, or 6 links and spend crazy amounts of money to do this. I really didn't spend much money at all. The only thing that costs money is the chest piece, which we'll go over. All the damage from this is basically coming from Cast on Shock, Lightning Conduit, and then you use Eye of Winter, scale up your crit chance and crit damage a little bit, and then Eye of Winter procs out a whole bunch of shocks, which then procs Lightning Conduit, and then you pretty much pray that Lightning Conduit crits, and then you do a really high amount of damage. You can actually do this with Spark. Spark just seems to apply shock slightly worse for the Cast on Shock benefit than Eye of Winter does. Eye of Winter also gives you critical weakness, so you get a little bit of additional crit chance, which is important, which I'll talk about in the skill tree in a sec. But as you can see, I do not have a 6 link on my Eye of Winter or my Cast on Shock because I didn't want to spend the money on it, and my Lightning Conduit could be at level 20 as well. There's like a million ways that I could increase the damage of this to get those one-shots, but I didn't want to put the money into it. The thing that's going to cost you the most money, and what enables this to work in the first place, is having a chest piece with plus 60 spirit on it. You can see this one is pretty good. It still has decent energy shield, still has some resistances, so I can run around with this normally if I want. Getting something like this is pretty expensive, but if you just want a normal chest with 60 spirit on it, you can get one for less than a Divine Orb. You'll lose a little bit of mana, so your Archmage value will go down a little bit, but if you want to be able to do the Cast on Shock plus Archmage, you need plus 60 spirit. Another way to do it is to ditch Everlasting Gaze entirely and rather go for an amulet that has spirit on it. You can get 60 spirit on just one amulet, and you could also get ranks 2 level of all spells, and that would give you a bit more damage, which is what that guy is doing in the video. But I didn't want to change too much about my build. I wanted to be able to just put this on and try it out. This is mainly only useful for bosses because Cast on Shock's energy gain is based on actually hitting a boss, or sorry, the amount of energy you get is based on what type of mob you're hitting. So if you're hitting a boss, you're going to get infinitely more energy than just running around mapping. So having this active while mapping isn't really useful, but I have found that having the 60 spirit for mapping is nice because I can just have blink and just spam it all the time, or I can use you could use like Blasphemy Enfeeble or Blasphemy Conductivity or anything else you want with spirit related stuff. But for the purposes of this, it's mainly just a bossing thing. So I got the chest for 60 spirits, and then I put on Cast on Shock, and then I swapped. You could do this with Spark, but I put on Eye of Winter, and this could be much better, but I have Overcharge on it, Conduction, because this allows it to, more chances of shock means more Cast on Shocks, and then Overcharge basically is going to drastically increase the damage of Lightning Conduit. Lightning Conduit does so much damage because it's based on how much shock you have on the enemy, so we scale our shock magnitude up quite a lot, and then that'll drastically increase the damage of Lightning Conduit. So we have Overcharge for more magnitude, Conduction for more chance of shock to proc it more. Inspiration is because otherwise Eye of Winter is pretty expensive mana-wise. And then we have Lightning Exposure. What you'd also add would be Strip Away, which I don't know where I have it. Maybe it's on my Orb of Storms or something. Yeah, Strip Away. You would add that if you had a 6 link, and then that would give you much more Lightning Exposure, so I would do much more damage. And then you have Cast on Shock, Lightning Conduit, Elemental Focus for more damage, Impetus for more energy gain, and then Energy Retention for a little bit more energy gain as well. Rather than Elemental Focus, I should just put Considered Casting. This is not supposed to work for proc skills, but it currently does. That would give me about 15% more damage. And if I had a 6 link, that would just give me straight up 40% more damage. So that would be pretty significant there. You can already see where I don't have it fully spec'd into this. And now the rest of the changes come in the skill tree. So I've been playing this crit variation of the skill tree recently, which I quite like. And there's a few things that I swap if I want to do this boss thing. Basically swap out of anything that is spark related. So skill effect duration, take that out. Projectile speed, take that out. You could play this exposure stuff. I like the shock magnitude as well because we want to scale our shock magnitude. I got some more exposure here, and keep in mind a lot of this I did just straight up copy from that guy. I'm not like coming up with this, but I didn't want to change way too much about my skill tree to enable this. I wanted to be able to just walk up to the boss and kill it and not have to like, you know, go in my skill tree every time I want to do it and swap out 500 points or redo the entire thing. Basically the idea is I can just take these points out, put some in here for trigger spell damage, put some in here for increased chance of shock rather than up here, put some points in here for exposure, and then I maintain this, I maintain that. And you could make the argument, I haven't done the math for this really, you could make the argument that like a lot of the crit related stuff is mathematically a little bit better, and I could even swap out of some energy shield stuff to get myself a lot more damage. Ditching all the energy shield nodes entirely is going to net you way more damage, but in order to do that, you probably need a little bit more maximum mana in total, and you could ditch Everlasting Gaze and energy shield altogether if you had a little bit like a really good amulet or something. But for generally just clearing maps, I wanted to retain the build that I had on, so that is what I did. Feel free to copy that or copy this if you want. It works, but if you wanted to make it better for doing this, you would want to swap out of some energy shield stuff. And where else you would go, like where that other guy has points, he has points into this crit damage and crit chance stuff. He has some of these points here. He does not have these points, which you don't entirely need, but I like this one for the crit chance. And then he has some points down here going into, where is it? I'm a little bit blind. There we go. He has these points going into this crit chance here. And also, because I went into all these energy shield nodes, I'm missing literally, I think I added this up and this was almost 90 or 100% additive damage that I'm missing, that I'd also have if I went up here, and increased chance of shock. So those are all the things that you would use. And basically, anytime I walk up to the boss, I'll just run a Breachstone real quick and kind of just demonstrate what I'm doing. But also some other ways to min-max your damage are to have the weapon swap Sigil of Power. And then another thing is you can weapon swap with Skeletal Cleric. So when I weapon swap, you'll see that I have my little minions here, and then I press Soul Offering, which will impale them, and then that gives me a 60% damage increase. The only thing you need to do to enable this is put Skeletal Cleric on, put 2 minions, only reserve it to your second weapon, put Soul Offering on, put Danse Macabre, Persistence so it lasts longer, and then Ablation. And then this makes it to where when you have these minions and you proc that, you get a 60% damage increase with Infusion. You might be able to min-max that a little bit more. I don't entirely know. And then I, as always, I have the Conductivity Curse. It's almost instant cast, which is pretty funny because of all the points in here going into the curse. Alright, so now I'll just run a Breachstone, and I'll show my difficulty real quick. So I have it maxed out. You can see that I just popped it. The only thing I really swap is I put Inspiration on my Spark, and then I put some random crap here. This isn't ideal, it's just to show that you can actually map with this if you wanted to, and to just clear it out. I've just been farming this to try to get Hand of Justice, whatever it's called. I need a little bit more rarity. Obviously, my version of this is not fully set up for doing the most amount of boss damage that you could possibly do. It's pretty easy to make it a lot better for that, but my gear is not set up perfectly for it, right? And I don't have 6 links, I don't have like a whole bunch of crit chance that you could get on your gear. I have cast speed on a lot of pieces, which literally does nothing for this variation of it. I just wanted to demonstrate. Why do I do that? I walk into that crap. Just want to demonstrate that it's possible, and it's kind of just a fun thing to do if you want to one-shot bosses and stuff. Obviously, you know, it costs a little bit to do it, but just popping the map itself costs like a divine, so if you want to buy the chest and just have a little bit of fun, feel free to. It's kind of just a, hey, this is something cool that you can do if you feel like it. It's not like a guide video necessarily, other than just explaining how it works. I believe something with the shock calculation is potentially bugged, and that's why it's able to do so much damage, and that's why it's good to be Stormweaver, so you get the double shock. But yeah, not much else to say about it. In terms of like how consistent it is with me killing it, I wanted to show me just doing it, because not every time are you going to kill it instantly, and that's because it's based on you landing crits, and my crit chance is not very high. If I had way better gear, such as the guy in the video, and I swapped my skill tree around, my crit chance could be upwards of 50%, in which case there would be almost no variance. Every time you kill the boss, you'll probably kill it in near one hit. But nobody is out here doing 4-man Arbiter runs, right? You don't need to fully min-max the damage. If you can kill this boss or highest tier difficulty Arbiter in like 2 seconds, then that's pretty much all you need, right? So yeah, just thought it would be a cool video, and I guess I just wanted to demonstrate that I can still clear that. I'm not like out here changing 500 things every time that I want to do this. I've just been farming this for a little bit for fun. So out of my Spark, I'll put Lightning Exposure, and I'll put Inspiration into my Eye of Winter, and I would like a 6-link on these. That would be a pretty substantial damage increase. I'm used to the audio cue for the timing, so maybe my timing will be a little bit scuffed here. I have Orb of Storms. It isn't really helpful other than for the mana, but I pretty much press Orb of Storms. My weapon swap, I put down the Orb of Power thing, a Rune of Power, pop the Skeletal Minions, Conductivity, and then I blast Eye of Winters. The first proc there didn't do very much damage. Second proc, pretty good. Third proc, so yeah, I didn't one-phase it this time. I'll show some other clips right at the end of this. This was probably the worst possible outcome. I've been doing this for like an hour, and almost every time I kill it in like 2 seconds. So, whatever, the damage was still pretty decent there. What did I get? I got 3 uniques, Amber Helmet, Leaden Great Hammer, Visored Helm, and an Exalt. So I don't think any of those are worth anything. Yeah, I'll just show some of my other kills. It's, like I said, it's a little bit inconsistent. It's based on landing crits and getting all of your debuffs out. And I think right there I just literally didn't get any crits. But if you crit, it hits for like literally twice as much, right? Actually more than that, almost triple. That's it for the video. Hopefully you found it helpful or interesting. And thanks for watching. See ya.